All right, welcome back to That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Today is Monday, February 1st, 2021. Our guy, Anthony Fontanello, is back on the show. Of course, our producer, Alex Jacobs, is back too. Anthony, how are you? I guess before I even give you the floor here, this guy's up my ass to get on every show, man. He just, I don't know what it is, but like, I can't get rid of this guy, even if I wanted to.
Hey, I love coming on That's Some Cheese because I don't know, man. You just bring the fire. I feel like we have some good shows here, so
It's funny that I don't get any invites on Toast Time, but I wasn't going to mention that.
All right. Well, the format is different, but there will be one day you will be on.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm gonna get you set up. Don't worry.
All right. So we're gonna do baseball in the first half of the show here with Anthony, and then our guy, or I guess my guy, Matt Durich, is going to be on the back half of the show to talk about his team. The Bucs are in the Super Bowl, and we're going to dive into some hockey too. So that's the show that we have for you today. But so I opened the floor up here for Anthony. I always have this saying that I believe in, and I kind of use it with the site too. People show you who they are, believe them. So I'm not going to name the names, but two of the interns today, they didn't do any of the posts in the first week of the semester. Not a good sign. But it is what it is. And then yesterday, I get flooded with messages about, oh, well, I didn't know I had to do all this paperwork. Well, there was a lack of communication. It was like, no, dude. Like, this should have been done before you started. And we had another guy who turned in his first post today, and none of the SEO information was filled out. So I asked him if he watched the posting guide. He said, yeah, I watched it. No, you didn't. You didn't watch it. You didn't watch it because it's impossible. Listen, I don't expect people to get it right away. You got to at least attempt the SEO. You got to fill in the keyword. If you don't do that, no, you didn't watch it. So people show you who they are. Believe them. My first topic of the day here is the Nolan Arenado trade. I want to love this for the Cardinals because you're acquiring one of the best players in baseball. Forget about best third baseman. This is one of the best third basemen in baseball. He wins the Gold Glove every single year. This guy wakes up out of bed. He could snort crack and still win the Gold Glove. This is a guy you can jot down. He's going to hit 40 home runs. He's going to hit 290. But John Mozeliak has shown us who he is. He's dumb. This is a guy that gave away Randy Arozarena for nothing. This is a guy that gave away Luke Voit for nothing. This is a guy that traded for Marcell Ozuna, gave up Sandy Alcantara, gave up Zach Allen, gave $80 million to Dexter Fowler. People show you who they are. I would love this trade for the Cardinals, except the guy who made the trade has shown us he's an idiot. So how am I supposed to like it? How am I supposed to trust him?
He's a moron, that GM for the Cardinals. I do like that he was able to get Arenado, but like at the same time, he's just like, I didn't really think that they're in a position to win right now. Like, why would you take a contract like that? I mean, do you really think that the Cardinals are going to do anything more than maybe make the playoffs next year? I mean, I really can't see it.
I don't think they're a championship caliber team, but I don't hate the trade. But the problem is this guy has shown an ability that I don't trust the prospects that he's giving up. I don't. And
they're gonna turn into MVP candidates. Every prospect he gives up is gonna be like some freaking World Series MVP or just a regular season MVP, because that's all that he's shown.
I don't scour the Cardinals farm system. I don't go up and down the list of, ooh, this prospect I really like. Most of the prospects I do follow are in the International League. I don't follow the Pacific League much, but every single guy he gives up is just a Grand Slam winner, like a Arozarena. That guy should be the first ballot Hall of Famer or something. He couldn't miss during the postseason. It's the only reason why the Rays got to the World Series. He gave him up like he was a scrub.
And then you got Luke Voigt, who led the league in home runs, and on top of that has been a pretty good player for the Yankees, who we gave up Chase and Shreve for Luke Voigt. And if anybody followed the Yankees, you would know that was highway robbery.
Like, every trade this guy makes, he loses. So how am I supposed to like it? That's my takeaway.
Somehow, some way, he'll lose. He'll be the guy that would lose a trade that would get him Mike Trout. He would somehow lose that trade.
And it's the same thing I said with the site. Like, these people can show me they're putting forth effort, but you walk in the door and the first thing you do is don't fill out the SEO. I don't buy it. First thing you do is, well, I didn't know I had to do the paperwork. Not buying it. I don't buy it. Show me who you are. I'll believe you. John Mozeliak. Not a good track record.
Nah, not good at all. But real quick, you're telling me that whoever this intern is, I'm not naming names. I'm not trying to probe for a name, but you're telling me they didn't even put the keyword in?
Did not put the keyword in. did not put the keyword in.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, my first post was, not that great, but I attempted SEO. Like,
I don't expect people to understand it, but you at least got to try.
Like, come on, man. And then have the audacity to go and tell you, yeah, I saw the video. If you've seen the video, you would know there's a whole section where you scroll right down to the key phrase and put in the key phrase, do the meta description, blah, blah, blah. Like, you didn't even make an attempt at that. That's just sad.
One of the other bigger things that, and I know people don't mention this, the common fan is like, hey, we got Arenado, which is great.
Yeah.
But I hate paying for people that are already paid. If I get Nolan Arenado, I just want to pay him. I don't want to give up 6 prospects then to pay him. I'm paying a double acquisition cost. It's the same thing with the Yankees and Giancarlo Stanton. Okay, great. You got Giancarlo Stanton, but you gave up players to pay for Giancarlo Stanton. I hate doing that. That's not the kind of thing that I would ever want to do as a GM. If I want to buy a player, I'm going to do it in free agency. I'm not going to give up players then to buy them.
Yeah, no, especially absorbing the big contracts that there are nowadays, with especially Nolan Arenado's contract and Giancarlo Stanton's. I mean, I have been documented ranting and raving about how much I hate this freaking Stanton contract and how the Yankees are just stuck with it. Like,
I laughed when they traded for him.
He's got a no trade clause. He's not accepting a trade to anywhere else but the Dodgers. And I know damn well they're not taking him. They already have a freaking outfield that's spending super bucks as it is. They ain't taking Giancarlo Stanton. So we're stuck with him now. We're stuck with a broken glass bones freaking guy that he doesn't even want to play the outfield anymore. He just wants to be a DH. And Derek Jeter, I thought he liked us. Like, I don't understand. Like, what did we do to him? Like what did we do to deserve this?
I don't have many sources because I'm not in the news breaking business, but I specifically spoke to someone that said, I don't know why he would go to the Yankees. He's a choke artist. And from that moment on, it was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. And you can see Stanton. He's a lazy piece of shit. He really is. Having no fans in the stands was the greatest thing that ever happened to him.
I think he had the best postseason run of his career.
If there was any winner from the coronavirus and no stands, it was that guy. Let me ask you this, though. Would you rather have Arenado or George Springer? Because the contracts now are about the same.
I would say George Springer, and here's why.
Because I disagree.
I'm sure you do, but here's why. I don't really feel that we would need to go and get a third baseman because, like, I mean, you say what I mean, people could. Who's we? The Yankees.
I'm talking about if you're just running a team, not your.
Oh, if I'm just running.
Who would you rather have?
Okay, so if I'm just running a team, I mean, Nolan Arenado. I was just talking from the Yankee standpoint of, they already got Gio Urshela, who's I mean,
Unbelievable.
listen, he's not bad.
How about the ego on this guy? He's like, oh, I'm Brian Cashman. Hey, the ego on this guy. Unbelievable.
Listen,
he's just in his own weird sick head. He's like, yeah, I'm running the Yankees. They're nuts.
That's the first thing I go to when someone asks me that type of question is I go right into, all right, so I'm Brian Cashman and I'm running the Yankees. I mean, hey, but I'd probably have Nolan Arenado. If I'm starting a team fresh, yeah, give me Nolan. And but George Springer, he's like 32 years old and not for nothing, but he's a freaking absolute cheater. I don't want cheaters on my team.
Unbelievable. You're going to go with the cheater line?
Yes,
that's
I am.
soft.
Yes, I
am.
That
is weak.
I don't want
your team cheated too, and you know it.
We didn't get punished for it.
You got the Apple Watch thing. You did get punished for it.
Trash can banging was worse.
Okay. We have our guy, Anthony Fontanello, on the show today. Make sure to follow him. We're going to be talking about some baseball stuff. Ant_Font1. Myself, Trey Dauber, and our producer all day, J.K. Dobbins, 27 touchdown. I do want to see. I don't understand how I did this, man. I got a producer who's a Yankees fan and has hair, just a total slap in the face. I got no hair. I'm balding, losing it, and then I got the biggest rival. It's crazy. What did I do to myself?
You don't deserve it, Trey. You don't deserve it.
What can go wrong in the life of Trey does, I guess.
Must go wrong.
Yeah, there we go. I do want to move on to your team, though, because, well, first of all, we kind of mentioned this last week, but I guess the Yankees and Red Sox are friends now, which is weird.
Yeah, somewhat. I guess they became best friends over the winter, and no one really knew about it.
Brian Cashman did praise Chaim Bloom for the Ottavino trade. I've been thinking about this a lot. I feel like I like it from the Red Sox point of view. If you're sitting there and you're Ottavino, you're going to play them, 25 times a year? And if they get into the playoffs, you're going to face them more than that. And every single day, he's going to think about, these guys didn't believe in me. You traded me for a salary dump, and you gave a prospect up. And the thing I keep thinking about the most, that Yankees lineup is so right-handed heavy. That slider of his is perfect against their lineup. And until the Yankees sign someone to use his salary, like, what's the plan with that? Are you just going to bring back Brett Gardner? And it was like, yeah, we cleared money to bring Gardner back.
I guess that's the move. Although, listen, I like Brett Gardner for being the longest tenured Yankee, but I'm sorry, it's about time he freaking moves on. I'm like, I don't need to. I really, really do not need to see him playing every day when I have Clint Frazier, who that man deserves his chance. I'm sick of watching Brett Gardner play every day. I'm sorry, and I don't want to sign him again. Like, I just really don't. Like, did I think Ottavino was that bad that we needed to dump his salary to the Red Sox and then give up a prospect at the same time? No, I just thought he just had a bad year. I didn't think he was just salary dump bad.
I did do some more research. His ERA was inflated. I think he gave up like a 7 spot to the Blue Jays. And I know it's a shortened season or whatever, but if you take that one outing out, which I know you can't do, but if you take his one outing out against Toronto, I think that's what it was. His ERA is fine.
Like the year prior, he was good. Yeah, his playoff performance, against the Astros wasn't that great, but I mean, the guy wasn't bad. I mean, who else are we gonna throw out there out of the bullpen? I mean, seriously, like, if I got to see Luis Sessa take the ball in a fucking high leverage spot one more goddamn time, I swear to God, I'm gonna break my TV with a baseball bat.
Why does he do that, by the way?
He just loves to put these ridiculous, like, terrible
Cortez, that guy was
Nestor Cortez, high leverage situations.
Yeah.
I'm going Nestor Cortez. I got Chad Green, Zach Britton, Chapman, Ottavino. Now I'm going with Nestor Cortez. Like,
he does that all the time.
He punts games. Aaron Boone
Yeah.
punts games. He punts games. He really does. All to save his arms. It's all about all I hear all the time is saving the arms. And if our starters went deep into the games, all right, well, why don't you go talk to Cashman and see if we could have a starter?
We need a nickname for Boone. Because Mr. Krabs, that's Cashman.
That's Cashman.
Mr. Krabs is Cashman. We need a nickname for Boone, if we can think of one.
I'll try to come up with one.
Can we talk about Mr. Krabs?
Oh, sure. I love talking
because he drives me insane, but sometimes he does do shrewd business decisions that make a lot of sense. And I'm like, shit, that was smart. The LeMahieu one I was all over, and I don't want to harp on my own parade or whatever. I was right about that. But the Jameson Taillon trade, I'm sitting there and I'm like, shit, that one's going to work. And the biggest thing with baseball is buy low, sell high. And I know it's a stupid stock market thing. We can jump into that later. But this is a guy who was taken behind Bryce Harper in the draft and ahead of Manny Machado in the draft. And he's had good years in the past. He just had nut cancer. It took him a while to get back.
Yeah.
That one pissed me off. It was like, shit, he's going to be good. He's going to be really good this year, I think.
Yeah, I'll say one thing about Cashman, or Mr. Krabs, as we
Mr.
like
Krabs.
to say. I'll say one thing about him. I was ready to really start panicking the more that I would not see LeMahieu sign, because you know what happens. LeMahieu, we're not reaching a number with him, and then next thing you know, you got all these rumors going around. Oh, he's starting to talk to other teams and blah blah blah. Then next thing I know, LeMahieu gets signed. And then within a matter of a week, we have Jameson and Kluber. Kluber, that's kind of like that's just a dart at the wall. If it works, it works. But Jameson, Taillon, I think he's going to be good. I mean, he's still young, and he had the whole year last year to rehab and get better. So I think the Yankees found a little diamond in the rough here that everyone was kind of put off to the side. I think he'll be a good spot behind Cole.
How do you feel about Tanaka going back to Japan?
It kind of.
I feel like that was one, like, if you're going to dump salary, why not bring back Tanaka?
Yeah, it kind of hurts my heart. It was a little depressing. I like Tanaka. Probably, was he the best regular season pitcher? No, he was hit or miss. But postseason time, I mean, he brought it. I mean, he really did. You really can't deny that too much. I mean, his elbow was half falling off, and he still went out there every postseason and at least gave you 6 innings strong. I seen him in the ALCS against the Astros pitch a 7-inning, just absolute gem. I love Tanaka, but that kind of hurt my heart seeing him go back to Japan. Not gonna lie, I thought he would be with us for at least a couple more years. I wanted to win him a World Series, probably more than anyone, because he's one of those guys that hustles for your team. So
I've always had an appreciation for Tanaka because, as you know, and as everyone knows, baseball is the single most unpredictable sport that exists. It just is.
Absolutely.
You need things to break your way. And Tanaka's that sort of pitcher that, no, sometimes it doesn't break his way.
Mm-hmm.
But his splitter is so deceptive that over the course of a playoff series, you can find 2-3 starts where that guy takes you over the top and wins you a playoff series. So he's the type of guy that I would have wanted on my team. As much as he drives you nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, because listen, he will drive you insane. He really will. But come playoff time, you know at least what you're getting.
What would you give Mr. Krabs for the offseason? A, B, C, D, F?
As of right now, probably just I'll go to B.
Producer Alex, what would you give the Yankees? I know you're a Yankees guy.
Yeah, I'm going B as well. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're perfect. I just wanted LeMahieu back. Got that done. I wanted to jump in on the Tanaka thing. Look, he did his time. I think he was on his way out. I think he wants to play back home more than the Yankees. You saw he said he wants $15 million a year to stay with the Yankees, and he's taking 7.7 back in Japan. It's not because he just wants to go play back there. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about playing for the big money. He just wants to go be closer with the family, play back there. And I don't know. He wasn't the best. He had a great couple seasons, but he just was not the guy that could be, our Garrett Cole, that ace. Just when Garrett Cole was not there, he was not the ace. Who was the ace at that time? It was Luis Severino. And then before that, you see the season before, it was Domingo Germán. Tanaka just could not be the number one guy, and he was on his way out. You saw in the postseason as well. He struggled a little bit in the postseason this past season when they lost. Where was Tanaka in the DS? Where was Tanaka in the CS? Not there. It's just time for him to go.
What about James Paxton? Bring him back for $150 million.
Screw James Paxton. Fucking piece of shit. Fucking hate James Paxton. One of the worst things. One of the worst things we could have ever done is that guy just gave me nothing but false hope.
Why?
He gave me false hope. He goes.
Are you sure you don't want to bring him back for another year?
No, I'm positive.
Hey, they also got rid of Hap. I'm excited about that. Needed him out. Get out.
I couldn't tell you how many times I was throwing I think I broke like 2 or 3 TV remotes because of every time I'd see J Happ on the mound, I knew bad things were happening, especially the playoff game where let's take out David Garcia for J Happ, because that's Boone's brilliant move is let's put in J Happ for the Rays and Randy Rosarena to just tee off on.
All right. One more thing, and then we'll be done with this Yankees love affair. Gary Sanchez. That guy. I'm not sure I would have even tendered him a contract. Or I would have tendered him a contract and immediately traded him. And I know his stock's at an all-time low.
Oh, it is
but
bad.
I don't understand how you can even play the guy. And it's not the fact that he's not hitting. His defense is the biggest problem. He stinks at pitch framing. He stinks at trapping balls back there. Anything in the dirt gets by him. That's the biggest problem. I don't know how you can play him.
Yeah, I wrote this article during the playoffs when he got benched for I think it was game 5 or no, game 4 or game 5. I know he got benched. He got benched one of those games. He got benched a lot actually because Garrett Cole got to the point where he's like, I can't pitch to Gary anymore. Like I can't even pitch to this guy. He'd rather have Kyle Higashioka back there than Gary Sanchez. But I like Higgy too.
So does Garrett Cole.
So does Garrett Cole.
I met him. He's a good guy. Great guy.
Bro, Higashioka, he's not bad. Like, he's not the best catcher in the MLB, but he's better than Gary Sanchez. I'll tell you that defensively, at least. See, the thing with Gary Sanchez was when he was dominating at the plate, like, you're talking 2018 Gary Sanchez, almost 30 home runs, batting about 260, 270. You could live with the lack of defense, but when he did what he did this year, I think barely batted 200, struck out a bunch, and only hit 10 home runs in 60 games. I mean, I'm sorry, bro, but like, what do you want me to do for you?
Is it possible he's just a piece of shit and doesn't care?
That is a possibility. I've thought about that a lot. Like, do I think that he has the ability? Yeah. Like, I think if he had a good work ethic, like a better work ethic, if you gave him Derek Jeter's work ethic, he'd probably. Oh
God, you're the worst.
What?
You're the typical New York Goomba sitting in the stands, gold chain. He's got his full beard, even though his team can't have a beard. Just the worst. Over there drinking like Heinekens. Oh, come on over here. You just suck.
Have you ever seen Trey when the stands and everything opens back up? Me and you are going to a Red Sox Yankees game.
All those losers and the bleacher creatures. You guys suck. I hate all of you.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna bring you, and you're just gonna sit there in the middle.
I've been there a bunch.
That's okay. Well, you're gonna go with me this time. It's a whole different experience.
I've probably been to Yankee Stadium more than I've been to Fenway.
I think I've only been to Fenway.
That thing's a castle. It's not even a real baseball stadium. It's like Kim Kardashian's house. She just rents it or whatever.
So what? You don't like the fact that if Gary Sanchez had a better work ethic, he'd probably
All
be
you Yankee fans are the same. You
How
got
are we
your
the
gold
same?
chains, your freaking beards. You got your beer in your hand. You got the jersey with the buttons half open, showing your tits. Just suck. All you suck.
I can't say that you're wrong, but like, I don't know why we suck because of that.
All right, moving on to my team. And I don't want to be super, super critical because I do think they're doing a lot of the right things. But there's something to be said about he's just cutting around the edges constantly, Chaim Bloom. Everything is, hey, let's claim this guy or cut this guy. Let's move on and let's work on the back end of the 40-man roster. All the trades that have been made, minus the Mookie Betts one, is like, hey, we got Nick Pivetta, or we signed Martin Perez. We gave $7 million to Kike Hernandez. It's like, hey, that's great, but how much is that moving the needle? It seems like a lot of, hey, we're just snipping around. We're not doing a full rebuild. We're not going for it. Just kind of stuck. And I'm not criticizing the guy because I think a lot of the things he's done have been smart, except I don't like the Hernandez thing. Outside of that, but I mean, let's do something a little bit more drastic.
Yeah, you guys want exciting. I mean, let's not get it twisted. The Boston Red Sox are, large market team. You want to make a splash, and it just like I'm this way with a lot of my teams. Like if you're going to go for it or if you're going to rebuild, like I want all or nothing. I don't want this in the middle like pity pat bullshit where like you sign like a couple like decent players for like cheap, but it's not really improving you that much. I either want the full rebuild or, actually go and make a splash and sign somebody that's going to help us win now. So, I don't know. The Red Sox just kind of caught in between. Like, there's not much for them to do.
Yeah.
Well, except they could improve the pitching staff a little bit, but I don't really know how much.
And the other thing is he's
they want
such
to
a
invest in
nerd.
that.
Like Chaim Bloom is such a nerd. And I'm not hating on the guy because he's smart, but everything he does is just like so predictable, nerdy fashion. The Garrett Richards signing was such a nerd move. He's like, well, Garrett Richards is number 2 in spin rate for his fastball. Let's get him. He's got the high spin rates. He is all over it. I knew that was the guy he wanted. Just like everything he does is such nerded out. But you can also get yourself in trouble that way. So yeah. I'm really curious to see how he pitches.
I'll tell you what. I know that we've entered this age of baseball analytics, and you remember we were on That Some Cheese right after the World Series. I could tell you, baseball analytics could do a lot for you, but don't use them properly. And you saw what could happen with baseball analytics. Take out your ace starting pitcher Blake Snell with just over 70 pitches in a World Series game. But I think the analytics are getting a little too crazy. I mean, if you look at Garrett Richards, his last 2 seasons have been like not good. Like I really just don't even know how to.
Well, he's also been hurt. He's been hurt all the time.
That's true.
He's had
last
UCL
year.
problems.
He wasn't hurt last year though, right?
He was coming back from Tommy John. But he's had UCL problems for a while. I don't know. I can't decide if they're going to even be competitive. Their offense is fine.
Oh, their offense is, yeah, there's not a problem with the offense. It's just a matter of can you pitch?
Is Sale going to come back and be healthy? Because he's great when he is. Is Eduardo Rodriguez going to actually play this year? Is the bullpen going to show up and not throw like a 7 ERA? That bullpen stinks.
Oh, man.
Dombrowski killed that.
Awful. Whew, that was awful. That was a really – I don't think I've ever seen the Red Sox bullpen that bad before.
Do you have any other, like, before we close out, big winner or big loser of the offseason that kind of stands out?
Wait, before we go, I just want to jump in on this Red Sox topic here. I want to hear your thoughts on this trade just because this happened today. Dustin Pedroia, as you're a Red Sox fan, your thoughts on that?
I love Dustin Pedroia. He's like my spirit animal. If that's like a thing to say. I just resonate with that guy so much. Everything that he's been through, he's a little balding guy who jumps on every single pitch. He plays his ass off. He's never going to take a play off. Guy who's like, how tall is he? 5'7", 5'6", won multiple Gold Glove awards, won a Rookie of the Year award. I'll never forget when he first came up, he was like 1 for 39. Like he was so bad. And Alex Cora who was on the roster, was constantly in his corner saying to Francona, you got to keep playing this guy. Like, I don't want the extra playing time. Give it to Pedroia. He'll be fine. I think Cora is a really underrated part of his story. He helped him get to where he was. Just the captain, the full-time World Series winner. Just enough good things can't be said about Pedroia. You'll never get me to say a bad thing about Pedroia.
Yeah, it seems you really love Pedroia. It's okay.
The lazy
I
show.
understand. I understand.
I wrote the Red Sox. In fact, this is how much Pedroia means to me. I wrote the Red Sox Mount Rushmore. He's on it for me. Fuck Ted Williams. Fuck all those old guys.
Oh, really?
I think Pedroia is one of the 4 most important Red Sox ever. He changed the landscape to me in that city. He is everything what it means to be a Red Sox fan. I'm short. I don't have all the athleticism in the world. I'm not the most talented guy in the world. Ian Kinsler started over me in college. I'm just going to work my ass off and I'll be great.
Now, Dustin Pedroia, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
1,000. Oh, the Hall of Fame. Did you see my post?
Well, yeah, I did. Yeah, about Tom Rinaldi writing that.
Not Tom
not
Verducci.
Tom.
Did you watch that
Verducci.
video? That was the most cock-sucking video of all time. Like, suck myself off. That video, oh my God, dude.
How ridiculous.
Did you watch that video?
I saw like half of it because I was doing something when I was watching it. But I did see him like sitting there.
I don't care about the Baseball Hall of Fame anymore. I don't. I have no interest in going. Zero.
I don't want to go there.
This is not the moral police, man. Like, how do we know how many of those guys that voted didn't do shit wrong? We sure none of them got a speeding ticket? None of them stole something from the grocery store?
How about the guys that are actually that are in the Hall of Fame? There's a lot of guys in there that are like straight pieces of shit, like literally for
Bobby Cox, domestic violence.
Yeah.
How many racists are in the Hall of Fame?
You could probably have a whole section of
and especially
baseball players in there.
The Hall of Fame is such a joke. Like the organization that votes for the Hall of Fame is the BBWAA. They can't even spell baseball right. That thing is so old that baseball was 2 words. Like, stop it. The whole thing needs to be thrown into the trash. Burn the whole organization.
I'm telling you, it's gonna really suck that they're not gonna put any of these steroid guys in. I mean, I know damn well right now, Barry Bonds, if he don't get in, I can already kiss A-Rod goodbye. There's no shot A-Rod's getting in.
It's a joke. I would put all of them in.
Yeah. I mean, come on now.
Kurt Schilling's a scumbag. Throw him in. This is not the moral police.
So what, bro? You're judging them on their baseball careers. Got nothing to do with off the field shit, and especially when you've already set the precedent that being a racist or domestic violence son of a bitch doesn't make a difference. You'll get
I said this too.
Steroids are a big no.
Like, writers get into the Hall of Fame. Like, we put writers in the Hall of Fame. Imagine if I sat here and said, well, we can't put those guys in because they have technology, and the writers 100 years ago had to handwrite things and put it in the newspaper. That's an unfair advantage. They're basically taking steroids compared to the people of the old days.
Like, it's such crap. That whole thing is so
nonsense.
So ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Before we close out and I boot you out of here, give me a winner, give me a loser for the offseason.
Give you a winner. Tell you what, I'll give you a winner. Mets. Definitely, I feel like the Mets definitely won this offseason now.
I think they're a little overhyped, but I can't.
Listen, living in this city, have no sympathy for the Mets. I don't care because their fans are just obnoxious assholes. But I do feel bad for them. So they had a pretty decent offseason, so we'll see what happens with them. But other than that, loser, man.
Let me give one quick second on the Mets here. I know we're running out of time, but
go ahead.
This is my observation on the Mets. You ever have a girl that you like, but you maybe got into the relationship too soon and you don't know everything you need to know? That's my take on the Mets. If I took over the Mets today before the offseason, it would have been everybody's for sale, DeGrom's for sale, Syndergaard's for sale. We're blowing this whole puppy up. It feels like this thing's rushed. The foundation has not been set. I don't know the girl's favorite color yet. I can't do all these things with this girl. I need to know more. There's not enough there. Everybody except McNeil and Alonso would be on the trade block. DeGrom, see ya. Give me the best package.
Well, I'll tell you what, you trade DeGrom, you basically fast forward your rebuild by like 5 years.
That's what I would have done. All right, one quick loser, and then we're kicking you out.
Loser, Tampa Bay Rays ain't going back to the World Series. They were one-hit wonders.
I mean,
I know
it's like saying a blade of grass that got cut's a loser. Yeah, they got no money.
Yeah, I know, but I don't like the Rays. I don't like them. I hate them very much.
All right, that's our guy Anthony Fontanello. Make sure to follow him @_font1. We're gonna take a quick break. We have Matt Durich coming up next, and we will be right back.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media Group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage.
All right, and we have our second guest of the show here. It is my good friend, Matt Durich. He is more of my brother's friend, but also my friend too. Matt, your team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are in the Super Bowl for the first time in a long time.
15 years.
Did you ever think that was going to happen again?
No, not at all, actually. I got to see my first playoff win this year and going to the first Super Bowl that I remember. Last time was when I was 5.
It's crazy. 2 years ago, they got Jameis Winston out there doing dumb shit. This Tom Brady thing's worked.
Yeah.
How?
Well, took some growing on him. Kind of airing the ball out. Wasn't throwing too short of passes, but he's still struggling here and there, but it's going to happen when you keep throwing the ball that many times and downfield. But I kind of think that not only did Bruce Arians, who's gotten a lot of hate this year with Tom Brady, and Byron Leftwich, not only just kind of changing their ways a little bit and thinking, hey, we can't really do the same thing with Jameis, but kind of working together, figuring it out and letting Tom do what he needs to do. And we actually established a little bit of a run game this year. So that was a little surpriser as well with Ronald Jones going off this year. I believe he was in the 900-yard range. Leonard Fournette's been coming on in the playoffs, which is huge, playoff Lenny. Other than that, I mean, just kind of working together with Byron and Tom and Bruce Arians, although they get a lot of hate together.
I want to use a rant that I used 2 episodes ago, but do you think this guy made a deal with the devil, Tom Brady? The Lightning win the Stanley Cup. The Rays go to the World Series. Boston sports suck the second he leaves. Tampa's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
what's going on here?
it's just like a complete role reversal. And I know that people are also blasting Belichick, saying that now he's not that great of a coach. I think they're not giving him enough credit this year as well. That team stunk this year. And I know that Cam Newton wasn't good, but Tom Brady did a good move getting out of there, I think, personally. But you saw what happened last year. In the playoffs, they looked like a disaster against Tennessee, no matter how good he is, no matter how good of a coach Belichick is. But he just didn't have the pieces either. And I think that this late in the career, I don't even know what's going to happen next year. I don't know if he's going to re-sign. I have no idea, but he's at the end of the career. I don't blame him for getting out of there. I'm just very happy that he came to Tampa and we didn't have to deal with Jameis again. Or Blaine Gabbert, maybe, who did look like a stud all of a sudden in Detroit in the second half.
I want to ask you this, and not many people have brought it up. Is it possible Byron Leftwich is really smart?
Yes.
Bruce Arians did an interview the other day with Rich Eisen, and he's like, I don't do shit. Byron Leftwich does everything.
It makes me really nervous because I don't want to lose Leftwich.
Is it possible he's really good?
Look at what he did with Jameis. I mean, I personally think that Jameis is still going to be a quarterback in the NFL. And I think that next year, I personally would like to see him start over Taysom Hill if Drew Brees leaves for any reason. I'm not a big Taysom Hill believer. I think that he's more of a play anywhere, kind of throw him in any situation than a starting quarterback. But it makes me very nervous because I don't want to lose Leftwich, because it sounds like we're going to lose Bowles after this year as well for DEC.
All the coordinator or all the coaching jobs are gone, so Bowles would have to be back.
I hope so.
I just think Leftwich has been – I don't think he's getting enough – Tom Brady threw, 41 touchdowns? He had 24 the year before.
Yeah.
I don't think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin make up for a 17-touchdown difference.
And people also been giving him crap about throwing so many interceptions. Has he missed throwing the ball sometimes? Yeah. The 3 interceptions last week or 2 weeks ago in Green Bay, he overthrew the ball twice, right? He threw the ball up because he was getting bull rushed, which I actually don't even hate that interception because, granted, it's just as good as a punt. It was 3rd down anyway. It doesn't really matter. But, I mean, I think a lot of it is Byron, and he's been drawing up a lot of good plays and working with Tom once as well. And I actually believe that Bruce Arians does not do much besides staying there and make game time decisions that he needs to make.
Well, he said that during the interview. He's like, I don't do shit. I just call timeouts.
Yep.
He's got the biggest staff in the league. Nobody has more assistants in the NFL. This is a fact than Bruce Arians.
That's pretty impressive. I did not know that one, but there are a lot of coaches on the sideline, but hey, we'll keep with what's working. Byron Leftwich is definitely a good OC, and I hope he sticks around for a while because I do think that he's really good.
Yeah. I want to move on to a next topic, and I said this to Adam, but I want to hear your insight on it too. Is it possible that Andy Reid, and this is going to sound crazy, is it possible that Andy Reid could go down as the single greatest head coach in the history of the NFL? And this sounds nuts, but let me preface it. Let's say they win this Sunday. That's 2 championships. Let's say, and Mahomes is going to get another one or 4th eventually. He's only 24 years old, right?
I would go out on a limb and say that he's going to get more than one.
He's going to get more than one. My point is, I think it needs to be a debate with him and Belichick. Donovan McNabb sucked. Do we remember how bad Donovan McNabb was? He got him to, 4 straight NFC title games? He was horrible. He was winning 12 games with Alex Smith before Mahomes got there. How much better are they really? They just has a quarterback that can get them over the top.
It's funny because as you're sitting here saying about it, Mahomes winning another one, and I'll get into the Andy Reid thing. Besides Kelsey, and I understand that Tyreek Hill is a hell of a wide receiver. He's fast. Look at the rest of his receivers. They're fast. Other than that, Mahomes does so much. And Andy Reid 100% can be thrown in there. If he wins another championship, I don't want him to win another championship this year. But if he wins another championship, maybe Sunday, who knows? Because I think that Sunday is going to be tough. But he's been successful since he's been in the league for a very, very long time. And it's like you said, living around here with Eagles fans everywhere.
They're nuts.
Yeah.
Good people of Philadelphia. They ran him out of town.
I wish that Andy Reid was back. Now you wish that he was back.
They're the
They're
worst.
starting to realize how good of a coach he was. So I think that it's 100% of you could make that argument that he could be one of the best coaches of all time, if not up there. He can make a run for the best depending on how long this Chiefs kind of
He's not that old. He can
going.
coach another
No.
10 years.
Exactly. It's not like he's playing.
He's just got to watch the cheeseburgers.
I don't know about that. I think we keep feeding him those. They're working, whatever he's doing.
There's a ton of small things, like he's got the best winning percentage ever off a bye. That's coaching. His coaching tree is significantly better than Bill Belichick's. Ron Rivera, Jim Harbaugh. He's got assistants out the ass that coach all the time. I don't think the guy gets enough credit.
All his coaches that he works with go on to be successful as well, just like you were saying.
And Pat Mahomes, he wasn't the first pick in the draft. He was the 11th pick in the draft. And he openly admitted he doesn't know how to read defenses. You don't get away with that if you play for the Jets.
No. But that's also taught as well. And you can see who's teaching him and doing a hell of a good job, as you can see, because that kid does not make many mistakes.
What's your prediction for the game? Because I'm almost – I want to say Kansas City's going to win, but I'm so nervous because let's take the coaches out. Let's take the quarterbacks out. I think Tampa might have a better team.
100%. They have a better all-around team. Not the offense is, if you take quarterbacks out, they 100% match up. Kelsey's way better than Gronk is right now. That's just matter of fact. Tyreek Hill is probably considered better than Mike Evans by some people. I could be a little bit biased, but I think Mike Evans is such a big threat. You can throw him the ball in the corner of the end zone. He can go up and get it.
I love Mike Evans.
I love him. Everybody gives him so much crap all the time. The dude's never healthy either. And he's
Producer Alex, I'd take Mike Evans over Odell Beckham and not think twice.
100%.
I
But
think I would too.
I thought he'd disagree.
No, I was when he was here as a Giants fan, when Odo was here, obviously I loved him. And then he left. He's just a cancer to the locker room. That's it. He's a cancer to the locker room.
Look at the Browns this year. When he left,
Their offense got better.
The Browns were okay with Odell.
He's underrated.
He left and they got really good. But this weekend, last weekend I was nervous for the sole reason it's not even a bold statement. Prediction. Antoine Winfield Jr. better get Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know how you guys feel about him.
I love him. He was one of my guys coming into the draft.
He's an absolute stud. And him not being there last week, I was like, oh my gosh. Then
I'll have to double check this, but on my draft notes, I love that guy. He was a first round pick for me all day.
Then Whitehead goes out. So now we have two backup safeties in the game. Carlton Davis has been getting burned all playoffs on the corner. So I'm like, oh, here we go. Aaron Rodgers is going to come out. And he made a game. Kind of choked in the fourth quarter. But if our defense, like I play for them, if Tampa's defense can play the way that they did with Winfield back in there, Whitehead sounds like he's going to play as well. Not only that, are we adding Antonio Brown coming back into the slot? Scotty Miller isn't going to be in the game every single play. Although I love the kid coming out of the slot, Tyler Johnson. I don't know how you guys feel about him. I think he made some hell of catches in the playoffs. The two big catches 2 weeks in a row now, where he's just throwing his body around against the Saints on the sideline before they made that turn, third down. That kid's good, but Antonio Brown, I don't care what anybody says. I was all for it when they picked him up because it's the same thing when they said when he went to New England. You guys know Bruce Arians. He's not going to put up with shit. Tom doesn't put up with shit. And if he does, he's just not going to play.
He moved the guy into his own house.
Exactly. That's just a big asset. And it just comes down to it. If we can just play a solid game, they're going to score. You're not going to stop them from scoring. It's just, can we get the turnovers that we've been getting? Maybe one or two. You need one big turnover at the right time.
Jason Light, the GM, is an unsung hero. I've given the Bucs like an A 3 consecutive years for their drafts.
The drafts have been great. I love their first round pick this year. That Wirfs kid,
he's awesome.
Unreal. He got away with the hold, but he is unreal.
I can't believe he slid that far in the draft.
I was texting.
Doesn't make any sense.
And then I asked you, I said, how is this Worf's kid? And then I watched him jump out of a pool and then realized that he was a wrestling state champ in Iowa. And then he did great in the beginning of the year. And then they played the Bears, and then Khalil Mack flipped him over with one arm. And I was like,
He's also a rookie, though. He's
Yeah,
got to struggle
exactly.
with Khalil Mack.
yeah. And then Khalil Mack flips him over, and I was like, all right, maybe I don't even realize how strong Khalil Mack is. But, I mean, the draft.
Winfield should have went in the first round.
100%.
Producer Alex can look this up. I think he had 8 picks last year at Minnesota.
It's around that, 100%.
He was all over the place.
That Minnesota team was great last year, though. Tyler Johnson was from Minnesota last year, too.
Yeah, he's great.
And, I mean, what did they get him? At 4th round, wasn't it?
He's not that much worse than Rashad Bateman, who's going to go in the first round.
Yeah. I'm saying, I mean, I'm not the biggest Scotty believer. I was saying it to
He's
my
good for 6th round.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. I was saying to my girlfriend's father on last week when we were watching the game, he either drops the ball or he catches a 60-yard touchdown. This one was 39, right at the end of the half. I mean, he's quick, but I think AB coming back in there is going to be huge. He's made some big catches down the end of the stretch here, going into the playoffs too. So it's going to. I honestly don't know who's going to win. You want to say the Chiefs just because of what they've been doing and how they play, but I've also said that every single week about every opponent that the Bucs played besides the Washington football team, which I was still nervous with because of their D-line.
If they didn't have Heineke, it might have been a little bit of a closer game, that Washington.
It might have been, but Heineke played well.
It did.
It made me nervous. I was like, no, like really, we get the Washington football team. Now this Heineke kid's going to come out of nowhere and just tear it up. What did he do? But hey.
Your team's in the Super Bowl. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Defense, I think Winfield is going to be the big factor. I really do. Because that play that he made against the Saints shows you what he can do.
And that Devin White kid, I wonder who said he was going to be good.
I love Devin White ever since you told me that he was good. I was pointing him out last week. You watched the game, obviously. Do you see on every single tackle, I don't care if it's on the sideline.
He's a piss missile.
He's everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's in the backfield. If it's 20 yards down the field or on the sideline and he started on the opposite, covering the slot, he is at the tackle.
He's a lightning rod. He's everywhere.
Yeah. And who else do you have to cover with him? Oh, just Levante David.
He was the #1 player in my draft that year.
Yeah. Him being paired up with David isn't a bad pair either. So,
I think Tampa's roster's better, which is why I don't know.
I do too, but their defense hasn't been the great for Kansas City, but they always show up. They're going to. It's a big game. It's Andy Reid. It's like you're saying. They're going to show up. I think it's going to be a close game no matter what. I couldn't even predict the score. All I know is I'm just not going to be able to eat or talk or walk for a while. I was losing my mind last week, especially when we were up 28-10, and I saw what was going to happen for a little bit.
That's our guy, Matt Durich. Make sure to follow him on Twitter. What's the Twitter handle again? He doesn't use
Twitter
much
anymore.
He
It
doesn't
would just be Matt_Durich, though.
Yeah.
Just like my name.
Make sure to follow us, vendettasportsmedia.com, media_vendetta. Can we wrap up and talk some hockey?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm always down to talk hockey.
I just have one question for Matt.
Oh, okay. All right.
So if you're a betting man, the spread's at -3. I know maybe you could be a little bit biased here, but -3, it's there right now. It's favored Chiefs -3 as they're favoring it slightly. But if you are a betting man in this position,
He is a betting man.
would
I
you
am.
like
Love it.
-3 or +3 for the Bucs?
Is the money line still plus 140-ish?
The money line right now is at +143.
So I would
He
actually
was on it.
I would take 2 because, well, obviously I am biased, but if it was not my team and the way that the playoffs have been going, one bet, the first one would be the Bucs money line because it's good value. And look at what they've been doing every single week. And they've been the underdog every single week besides Washington. And it's been 3 for the Saints, 3.5 for the Saints, right? It was 3.5 for the Packers. And now it's a 3 or 3.5 for the Chiefs game. I would take the Bucs just because of the value with the money line. The spread, you could take the Bucs, you could take the Chiefs either way. The 3s, it doesn't even matter. And obviously it doesn't matter because Vegas does it on purpose and they're not stupid.
My whole thing was, and I said this to Trey as well in the last episode, was I bet 3.5 plus 3.5 on the Bills, and I cannot bet against Pat Mahomes. I feel like that's just the problem. Like, regardless of defense wins championships, and that's a huge reason why the Bucs are in this position right now. Obviously, Tom Brady is doing his thing, but you got to give so much credit to the defense to be where they are right now. So
It was
I just don't know. Can that
I
defense stop Pat Mahomes?
Yeah. The answer is they're not going to stop him the whole game. Could they stop him a little bit? Go back to the game after Christmas. It was Christmas Day, right? They played him Christmas Day. They were down, 4 scores going into the second half? And then the defense stopped them once or twice. And then Tom Brady does what Tom Brady does, and that offense does what that offense does, and they score in bunches. They don't score for 3 quarters, and they're going to put up 4 touchdowns in the fourth. I mean, it's just how much are they going to stop him? If it wasn't my team, I don't know who I would take, because I think it's going to be such a toss-up. I was saying to some of my friends, and maybe it's because it is my team, but this is probably my most look forward to, besides being a fan of the team. It's just going to be a good game. There's just dangerous weapons on both sides of the ball for both teams. I mean, the Chiefs' defense isn't that great. We still have Tyrann Mathieu on the other side of the ball. I mean, he's always interesting to watch. He still makes plays no matter if you hate him or not.
And I had one more thing, and then we'll move on to hockey. This is not going to be talked about, but this thing has set up perfectly for Brady. Week 13 bye to go to the Super Bowl. There have been times I thought he's looked tired.
Yeah.
His rest has come at the single perfect time.
The best. At the end, right before they went into their bye week, how bad were they?
Bad.
That was their worst stretch. He's 43, right?
Yep.
He's 43. He played 13 or 12 weeks in a row. The
He
dude
was tired leading up to that.
Yeah. Dude, if that guy eats a freaking donut, I probably bet he gets fat at his age right now. He probably can't take any breaks. I mean, the breaks are huge for him. It's just
I think that's why Pittsburgh went down the toilet. They had a week 3 bye or whatever, and they were great for a while, and then they stunk.
Pittsburgh won a lot of games in the beginning of the year because they were clicking on offense. And then once they hit a little bit of adversity and that defense couldn't keep up right away, I thought they were overrated the whole year. But I can say that now and look correct because of what happened. It's already over and said and done with. But it could be. They got tired. Ben's getting old. I mean, I can't believe he's not done, to be honest with you. I thought that he'd be done. I'm also interested to see what Drew does. I don't know if Drew Brees is going to go out like that, but the end of the game, him standing in the hallway, kind of watching it, him coming back and out with Tom, it makes you wonder. I would love to see Drew Brees go, just so that the Bucs can keep kind of going after the division a little bit.
He's going to retire.
What happens.
Winston's going to be their quarterback next year.
And I bet you he does well.
He will.
Just like we've always talked about. I think he's going to do well. Look at
He's going to be awesome in fantasy.
Oh, yeah, he's going to throw touchdowns, especially in a league where you don't lose for interceptions. Dude still make stupid decisions. I don't care what anybody says. But, hey, he can see now, so who knows? He doesn't have to squint anymore.
Yeah.
You'll see.
All right, let's move on to hockey, and then we can wrap up. Explain all of your hockey takes like I'm 5 years old. I'm trying to get back into it. I've watched more hockey games. I've watched probably 15 hockey games so far this year. I'm at 0 NBA games this year.
Yeah. I hate the NBA.
It's so much better.
And how about I did my first NBA draft this year, and I'm 1-4 because I hate the NBA.
Your Flyers are pretty good.
Yeah. They're a really good team.
Except that goalie, he pisses me off. He's Swiss cheese sometimes.
Before you go any further, you need to watch some more hockey until you understand how hockey actually works a little bit. Just because they're a good name and they're a good player doesn't mean that they're going to win every game.
I like the points.
The points are good. The points are good.
How about this Farabee guy? He's buzzing around. He scores 3 goals like the first night, does nothing for like 10 games in a row, and then he gets 3 goals again. Does he stink or is he just good?
He almost had 4 last night. He's a young Beezer in the cut. That's what Kevin Hayes calls him. But the Flyers, I was actually just talking to my buddy about it. They are 7-2-1 this year, and everybody has done nothing but talk trash on the Flyers this year. They've gotten 0 credit. They get outshot every single game. They had 24 shots last night, and the Islanders, I believe, had 36. They are playing very ugly hockey, but they're winning almost every game. And it's actually surprising me right now. because their defense is just letting up easy shots after easy shots. But when you have a goalie like Carter Hart, who you still think stinks, but he's going to let in goals considering he's 23 years old, and he already has like the second most wins at that age than in the whole NHL career.
I'm just happy I won my first matchup for fantasy.
Yeah, your team's great. You had Bo Horvat blow up the first week. You had Farabee this week. Nolan Patrick put up a few goals for you, a few assists. Who else did you have blow up? You had somebody else blow up that shouldn't even have been scoring goals.
Let's have I want this edited on the screen, my hockey team. Oh, before I get to that, actually, our Flyers blogger, I wanted to ask you this. He thinks they're going to trade for Johnny Gaudreau on the Flames.
Oh, I love it.
Is that something that could happen?
It's always something that can happen because it's just like Line was supposed to go there. I heard a trade rumor today that offered Travis Konechny and Nolan Patrick, who you have Nolan Patrick. They're best friends. They've been best friends since they came into the league. They live together for Patrick Line. I instantly thought, why would they ever do that? Because they're so young and so good. I wouldn't want to give up Konechny and Patrick. I'm also biased. But you also got to think about Line had a two years ago before this coronavirus hit. Line didn't score a goal for 14 games, I think it was, and still had 40 goals that season. So, I mean, the guy also doesn't have, besides in Winnipeg, he had some pieces around him. He's going to do terrible in Columbus this year because there's no pieces in Columbus now. All the good pieces they
So I
have.
should trade him.
No, he's going to score. I just told you he didn't score for 14 games in a row last 2 years ago and still had 40-plus goals. He's also like 25, 26.
Well, I drafted everybody under 30 because of a shortened season.
Yeah. Old guys are going to get tired. And, I mean.
Can you walk me through the Line A trade? I don't quite understand it. And again, I'm just starting to get back into hockey. But when I look at it, why would you trade the second overall pick in that draft for the third overall pick in that draft?
Because Winnipeg did get some more pieces with it. I believe they got a few picks, didn't they?
They only got 1 third-round pick.
But it's like it can be something so simple unless you know what's going on. You know how we talk about Odell, right? And how he's a locker room cancer. Tony DeAngelo just got put on waivers yesterday from the Rangers because him and Alex Gorgiev, their goalie, got into a little debacle in the locker room. And then Chris Kreider came in and threw a punch at Tony DeAngelo in the Rangers locker room. And now Tony DeAngelo had 60-plus points last year for a defenseman, which is pretty damn good. I'm sure you've heard of Gostisbehere and how Ghost blew up.
He's the Shane, Shayne.
Yes. And
yeah.
now everybody's all
I'm getting back into hockey.
Yeah. We got to trade Ghost last year. We got to trade Ghost this year. He comes back. They're 4-0 since they came back. He's got a +4 player rating.
So I should pick him up in fantasy.
Well, he's got to score still. He only has 1 assist. But he's a good.
Van Riemsdyk, that's the guy that keeps scoring.
Van Riemsdyk scoring this year because they're finally putting him in front of the net. He took over Wayne's position. Now he stands in front of the net on the power play and he tips everything. That's all his goals. He hasn't had a goal this year where he shot the puck. I don't believe so. He might, maybe his first one. No, his first one came on tip on power play. I mean, the dude's unreal this year. He's 4th in points this year, I'm pretty sure, for the league as of now. But this year is going to be so messed up. It's a bad year for you to get back into it, realistically, but just because it's only 52 games, I believe. But.
Producer Alex, what do you think of my team?
Look, I want to, before I answer that question, I want to say the trade of Nolan Patrick and the Konechny one. If you're the Flyers in that situation, I'm a Rangers fan, so I'm completely outside view. If you're the Flyers in that situation, no chance. Why would I give those guys up? No chance.
Did you see what Vigneault just did yesterday too? 2 days ago, bench and Konechny. I loved it. I love Konechny.
Force them to play good. Force them to be right. Look, the Flyers are going to be good for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Yep.
With this coach that's coming in now, former Ranger coach, did some great things. Last year was a great stepping stone for them. They are due. They're due. Regardless that they were they had the 1 seed, and I put quotes around the 1 seed because it was to play in.
I want to talk about my team next. What the hell, man? They frustrate the shit out of me. And I only watched like 2 or 3 games so far this year of them, but they're only the first line does anything.
Yeah, but
they're getting old.
Well. They're playing well.
But it doesn't
Ever
look
since
like
you
they have
started
any
talking-
guys.
Ever since you started talking trash on them the night that they played the Flyers, first of all, they swept the Flyers. The Flyers have 3 losses this year. 2 of them came from the Bruins.
But who do they have other than those top 3 guys?
They're playing well together. They don't have that much. I don't want to say they don't have that much talent because they do have a lot of talent. They're just clicking as a team right
Whoever
now.
that little young guy, Studnicka, looks good.
Yeah,
I don't know who that is, but he's playing his ass off.
he's playing really good. And there's a lot of young guys coming up that have, with the juniors just winning gold against Canada, which was great. But there's
What's the deal with this Nick Ritchie guy? I saw he's like a former top 10 pick. They traded for him last year. He sucked, I thought. He got he had like a big hit. It was like a 5-minute penalty on somebody in the playoffs last year. But now he's scoring all of a sudden.
There's a lot of guys that are just so hit or miss depending on the year. You know how in football, when you're getting paid the next year, you need to get paid the next year?
So he's
The same
that guy.
thing- The same thing happens in hockey. Some guys don't want to play hard every game. We just talked about Konechny getting benched, which was very shocking. Vigneault, the Flyers coach, came out and saying it was a father making a very hard decision for his son, which is it's probably relatable because he had the most goals on their team last year, but he just wasn't playing as hard as he always does. And it's the same thing with those guys. In hockey, you have guys, which I've been trying to tell you to calm down and stop worrying about your team. You can have a guy that scores 5 goals in a week, and then you can have him not score for 2 weeks. I mean, that's just how hockey goes. It's not like you get if you get a guy that has 6 shots on goal one night, it's not like he's going to have 6 shots the next night. It's just how it works and being in the right position at the right time. You got to put yourself in that right position and get the ice time. But
Talk to me about Jack Eichel. Every time I watch the Sabres, their team stinks. He's the only guy that does anything.
Jack Eichel's really good, and I wish that he.
So
was
what? Can they trade him? Like
Why
their
would you-
team's awful. I hate watching the Sabres.
But you're not going to trade him if you have Jack Eichel. Same thing with the Oilers. The Oilers are really
Yeah,
fun.
actually,
watch
I want to ask you about why do they stink?
because they only have McDavid and Draisaitl.
But
They
how
get-
hard is it to build a team around that?
You got to hit on your this. It's tough because all the hockey picks don't hit. Like, and it also takes years. Look at Line. You just brought him up. Why
My
do you
guy,
think-
Darnell Nurse, he keeps scoring.
You know who Darnell Nurse is related to?
You?
Guy you just talked trash on the beginning of the episode. Or
Who?
one of my segment. Donovan McNabb. That's his nephew.
Wow.
Yeah,
I should
he
trade
played-
him.
Yeah, you might want to trade him because he's either going to do really good or really bad. It's not going to be consistent.
He's awesome for me.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's fast and he throws some bodies.
What about Aho? I like watching him.
He's good. You just missed out because he didn't play for the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it was pissing me off.
Yeah, but he's really good. I hate him. I hate him with a passion. Whenever the Flyers played the Hurricanes, obviously they don't have to play him this year, but I hate him. I don't know about you, Alex, but I hate when they play against Aho because he is everywhere. He's always buzzing around.
He has like a fire to him where he can. I mean, he can be a number 1 guy on the team, and not necessarily carry that team, but he can be that. Let's build our team around him because that's just a player that he is.
Another guy to relate him to is who you brought up, Johnny Gaudreau. It's just Johnny Gaudreau is a Jersey kid. That's why they're all saying that he could possibly go.
Yeah,
to
it's
Philly.
realistic, right? It's a realistic
It-
situation.
I would love him in Philly because he's another guy like Konechny too. He's just buzzing around the ice. He runs into people. He's not big. He still tries. I mean, he's not a guy that hits 24/7, but it's just like it's like the guys in the league who aren't on your team. You hate them. The Kachucks. You hate the Kachucks because they're good and they're always around the net. You hate Aho. You hate Konechny if he's not on your team. You hated Wayne Simmons if he wasn't.
Pucks in deep. Put the pucks in deep.
And those guys get down there and they cause havoc. It's just like with Hazy. Kevin Hayes, I mean, the puck goes in deep. He's down there pressuring the guy. And I'm sure that you hate to see him go, Alex, but
I hated to see him go.
that's the
And now
player that
he's
he
locked.
is.
Now there's no chance they can get him back. He's
No, I mean,
done it.
he is-
He's in Philly for life.
he's a one-way player. He's not a one-way player. He's a two-way player, but he has a one-track mind and it's go. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's a big body. He's pretty quick for his size and he just goes. And those are the players you hate. And Aho has that. Doesn't have the size, but Aho is fast and really talented.
Producer Alex, how do you like my team? You didn't answer that question.
Boston. Yeah.
No, I was talking about my fantasy team. I sent
Oh.
it to you in the Slack.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Boston. And I was like, Boston somehow when they're like sporadic right now. It's like they have good couple games. They're sluggish a little bit.
Can they win the cup?
No.
I don't think so. No, I can't.
So why won't they just blow it up then?
Because they're Boston, and they're just never going to do it.
I just like Pasternak. The rest of the guys can go.
Yeah, who wouldn't like Pasternak? Probably the best scorer in the league right now, besides Ovechkin and McDavid.
Right, you have Evander Kane on your team.
What's wrong with that?
It's all his own money. His betting. He's in debt, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, well, he puts the pucks on net and he puts the pucks on deep and he cycles it.
Oh, it's so funny. I saw him. Eichel. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's so funny. When I saw that millions, he's like what 25 million in debt or something insane. Like, even if he sold, they said even if he like sold everything, he would still be like 17 or 16 million in debt. And obviously he can't play.
How do you get that far in debt?
Blackjack. Gambling.
You do whatever you want.
Yeah,
look at Daniel White.
I like this team. Brain Point. You got my mans, Jacob Trouba.
Now, Alex, number 9 pick in the draft. That's his team. Pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, 9. Wow.
Yeah, that was the 9th pick.
Landeskog. Wow. So
You got some good pieces.
Okay, so for you to sit there and say, I'm just getting back into it, this is a pretty
I had a second to last pick.
For someone
I didn't know quite.
Didn't know or doesn't know what they're doing or hasn't just getting back into hockey. I think this is a damn good team for just getting back into it. You got to give yourself a little bit more credit.
All right.
Yeah. Your Holtby pick isn't the best right now.
He's on the bench right now. He's on the bench for the Nashville guy.
And I will say the Carter Hart pick is very smart because of what happened last season. Obviously, he's, in and out of a little slump. He's a young kid. He's just got to. He'll get there. He's a young
23
kid.
years old.
Yeah.
He's gonna. You could have the most wins by a goaltender by Carter Hart this year. He may not make it look good right now, but they could very well. And this is me being a Flyers fan. They could win the cup this year.
No, they could.
And
I thought they were going to do it last year.
I just need those young guys to be buzzing the last 3 weeks of the year when the playoffs count. That's what I need.
That's when the young guys really are buzzing most of the time, but that's when you also need your guys to step up. And it's just like, I'm sure Alex hears it all the time. You might even hear it. Everybody hates Claude Giroux. Last night, everybody hated Claude Giroux on the back check. And then who made the play to win the game? Everybody doesn't give him enough credit either. He's a top 5 player in the last 11 seasons, I believe.
And I think that argument is put together on the fact that, he's older. He's like, can we just get those young guys like Konechny? Can they start being those Claude Giroux type leaders?
Yeah.
Let's try to move on from our, just switch the generations. Let the younger guys take those leadership roles. But you said it right. You still got to give a lot of credit to Claude Giroux and what he's been able to do.
It's like a Tom Brady kind of argument. It's like a Tom Brady argument. You want him to do flashy things because he's a hockey guy. And he's the captain, and you want him to score goals because he's the captain. Look at his breakout year when Taylor Hall won the Hart Trophy. And Giroux had every bit of chance to win it just as much that year. I mean, he had 105 points. And he was, mid-30s, which is old for hockey. It's a different game, different kind of player. He's more of a mental kind of guy than he is physical and scoring, and he's going to pass the puck and he's going to get it open.
Right. You see the C on Connor McDavid and the C on Claude Giroux.
That guy's an alien.
And I'm not trying to compare the two. Like, obviously we got old age, young age, right? But it's the play style. I think Claude Giroux is in that leadership role because he's a good leader. It's not about, getting 40 goals a season. McDavid putting up, hat tricks left and right. Like, it's different. He's a good leader. That's why he's in that position.
Team-wise, he also has the position where he can do that, where McDavid has to go out and score, or he's like, hey, Leon, you got to go score. What'd they have last night? 12 combined points?
Yeah, you're right.
Which was absolutely disgusting. You see that game, Trey?
I did.
8-5. Absolutely absurd.
McDavid looks like he's playing a different sport. He looks like he's a racehorse or something.
He's so fast and so good with his hands. He can do whatever he wants.
I want to ask you about the Avalanche, though. Because I have this question. Joe Sakic runs their team, right? He's one of the few guys I know because I loved NHL hits back in the day. Most of the time when former players take over things in the NFL, it doesn't work. Is he the smart guy, or like what's going on there? Because their team looks unbelievable.
It depends on which night right now for the Avalanche. The Avalanche can come out and score 8 goals just like the Oilers could, and then they could be down or lose to the Wild last night 4-3 in overtime.
How do they have so many young guys?
They were the worst team for a very long time, I believe.
So we don't know if Sakic is actually smart.
I believe he's pretty damn smart.
Okay.
He got a lot of good players. He's got McKinnon. He's got Landeskog. He got the new kid last year, Cale Makar, who won Rookie of the Year last year. He's got a lot of good young pieces, and that's why they're so hit or miss this year too, is because they have so many young guys, but they don't have the experience yet, which is another team that a lot of people think can win the Cup this year, is the Avalanche. And
Who's your pick to win it?
I got to say the Flyers. But
who's your team for the Western Conference?
Based off of what I'm seeing this year, which is all going to come out, it pretty soon is going to kind of flatten out. You're going to see some of the good teams not be so good so much, and some of the teams that you thought were going to be better are going to step it up. I would have to say between really 3 teams for me, if I could do that. The Avalanche could come out of the West. The Knights have been playing unbelievable and could come out of the West. And I really like the Stars because they can put up 10 freaking goals in a game. And they have leadership roles. Jamie Benn is kind of older. Joe Pavelski, older, has experience being in San Jose so long. And not only that, but your boy from Boston, who you probably hated to see go when you were still watching hockey.
Sagan.
He's freaking good.
He was my favorite guy.
And then they got that young defenseman, Miro Heiskanen. He's unreal.
Would you maybe put St. Louis in that category as well? Maybe. I thought you were going to say St. Louis and not Dallas there. That's what I thought you were going to say.
I think St. Louis, the Blues winning it 2 years ago.
Right.
I think that was their hurrah. I still think that they're going to be a really good team for a really long time. It's just like last year you said you could see the Flyers winning it. I could see the Flyers winning it last year too, but now they're kind of getting into their stretch. And I think the Blues are kind of like at that 3 or 4 year mark where they're in that stretch, which it would be their 3rd year of being successful. They're kind of like at the end, it's going to be a do or die. You never know what moves are going to be made at the deadline. That's what I love about hockey too. And Trey, you're going to see it. I mean, you think about the deadline for MLB is pretty nuts sometimes. The deadline for hockey is unreal. There are trades all day long, and it is big names.
Is my guy Tarasenko going to come back and play?
Eventually.
Is he good?
He's been on downslope because he's getting older, but he can snipe.
Yeah. Do we have anything else to add here? Did we cover hockey pretty well?
I think we did.
Okay. I hope I win the fantasy league. I know I ask you for lineup advice every week.
You're on the right track.
All right. That's our guy, Matt Durich. Again, he doesn't use Twitter anymore, but if you want to go follow him, Matt_Durich. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the video. That Some Cheese comes out now twice a week because of our guy, Alex, who helps me edit all this stuff. So big thank you to him. AJ all day 27. I'll say it right for the final time because he helped me out with hockey. Myself, Trey Dalbert. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.